Every year, the festively named Christmas Island takes on one of its holiday hues as millions of its inhabitants make their way to the edge of the briny sea. The Christmas Island red crab draws people from all around the world to see one of the largest migrations on the planet. But what exactly prompts these conspicuous crustaceans to get together in the world's biggest annual Christmas party? It's all just part of the circle of life, death, and taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter at LD Taxonomy, or visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, Tristan Taylor, Jesse Raspulich, and Carol Raspulich. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you for helping us keep the lights on.
And if you would like to support us on Patreon, you could see our faces when we record this podcast.
We put a lot of work into our room decor, our video setup. You can check it out for just not very much a month.
Yeah.
Help us pay for all this equipment we bought.
And today we'll spend Easter on Christmas Island.
It's true. This is probably coming out after Easter, though.
Maybe we'll spend Christmas on Easter Island.
Who knows? Maybe we'll spend Valentine's Day on Thanksgiving Island. It's just the possibilities are endless.
But Christmas Island and Easter Island are both real islands.
I want to go to President's Day Island.
I bet there's a Thanksgiving Island.
Yeah, it's a cargo cult.
But I guess I'll tell you what we're talking about. We're talking about the Christmas Island red crab,
otherwise known as, or what we're gonna call it here, Santa Claus.
Yeah,
get it. And the Crimson Yuletide. I'm particularly proud of that one. Because at first I had Crimson Tide, and I was like, wait, the Christmas Tide. No, wait, the Crimson Yuletide.
It's perfection.
Yeah, it's good.
Would you like to know what science has to call this?
Sure would.
Forrest. They're in the kingdom Animalia. You know it. You're in it, and you like it. You do.
I could take it or leave it.
It's no fungus, but it's among us. The phylum is Arthropoda. It's in the subphylum, which is going to be my daughter's first name, Crustacea.
Mm-hmm. And she'll thank you for it every day of her adult life.
Her name will be Stacy, and no one will know.
Are you sure it's not going to be Krusty?
No, we're gonna initiate it. We're gonna tell her teachers it's Stacy, but just on her birth certificate, Crustacea.
And then some bully is gonna find out about that, and she's gonna be Krusty for the rest of high school.
I've been trying to get Johanna to name our hypothetical dog Krusty.
She won't even name the imaginary dog Krusty.
No. The class is Malacostraca. We've been here before. We've done a crab before. Mm-hmm. The order is Decapoda, which is the beloved characters from Disney's Decapod. Yeah.
It's yes. Yeah. Yes.
The best song from
Moana.
Moana. Yeah.
I forgot what the crab's name was. Tekka? No, it wasn't. That's someone else.
After playing Elden Ring, women's names that started with M are all merged together in a conglomeration. in a term of venery. The infra order is Brachyura. The family is Gecarcinidae or Gecar.
Maybe it's
Gecarcinae. Oh, it might be a soft C.
Gecarcinidae?
Yeah. Or Gessarcinidae. Or Gessarcinidae.
No, it's definitely not a hard. It's definitely a hard C.
Hard C and followed by a soft C.
Yeah, hard C followed by soft C. But is the G at the beginning hard or soft?
And speaking of G, the genus is Gecarsoinidae or Soidae.
That's
Soidae?
definitely
Gecarsoidae.
That's definitely.
And the species is Natalis.
So Gecarcoideae, Natalis.
Yeah.
This one's a rough one. I'm sorry. You gave me an easy one last episode, and this one's tough. But
Natalis.
it's my favorite pasta. You did mention terms of venery. So, since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show, critter groups. Just one C there.
Oh, wow.
This part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and the question is the same every time. What is the name of a group of this animal? What is the term of venery? What is the collective noun? I know we've done crabs before. I don't know if we did this term of venery. So we will see if you remember, in case we did.
A pot.
A pot of crabs. Yeah. So it's crabs.
A cake.
If you saw a group of crabs, is it a soup of crabs? Is it a cake of crabs? So A, is it a cast of crabs? B, is it a colony of crabs? C, is it a condolence of crabs? Or D, is it a coupling of crabs? Cast, colony, condolence, and coupling.
I'm going to say it's a colony of crabs. Final answer.
The answer was cast. It's cast of crabs.
Oh, okay. Casting
Because
Crabs. It's my favorite band from 2000s.
Because these crabs travel as far as the east is from the west, from one scarred hand to the other.
Fair enough. Cast. Colony would have worked.
Yeah.
Condolence.
I think... thought I might try to get you with that one. But yes, it's a cast of crabs because they're all playing their part. They're cast.
Huh.
I don't know. I just made that up.
Would you like to know what it looks like?
Yeah, I would.
Christmas Island crabs are classic-looking crabs with round carapaces, spidery legs, and modest claws. They don't have these big honkers. Some of them have big ones, but some are like a similar thickness to their legs. They are bright red, like a fire truck red, like a cartoon crab red. It's beautiful. I love it. I love when things are the way they are in cartoons, because then it's just special. It's a special moment.
When elephants are blue, when alligators are bright green,
yes,
I love it.
They're Mr.
When lions
Krabs
are
red.
yellow, they are Mr. Krabs red.
And they have a darker red or black coloration on the top of their carapace or at the tips of their legs. And they are tiny when they're hatched, and like many crabs, grow many times their original size. But speaking of size,
like many things, they grow many times their original size.
But
I'm
it's
many times bigger than my daughter.
Yeah, but probably I feel like it's particularly striking when you have like a tiny little fingertip dot of a crab that grows to be like a palm or larger.
Yes, I agree.
Speaking of size, welcome to the beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show when that's introduced by you, when you send in audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words Measure Up into LD taxonomy at gmail.com. We don't have a new Measure Up intro this week, but we are going to revisit the greatest hits.
Nice.
I'm going to play one from a past submission, and maybe you can tell me who submitted it.
Oh boy! Oh, don't do this to me.
I think
I'm going to embarrass myself and make the person who put it in feel bad because I
think
remember.
This is going to be easy for you.
Okay.
Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Fly, you fools, and measure up!
A classic.
Is this Gandalf the White?
This is Wizard Gandalf. Yes, that's correct.
Oh yes, the Wizard.
The
Gandalf.
Wizard Gandalf. One of several very excellent measure ups,
and very character appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad I got it.
Well done. Well done. Let's get into. Oh, thank you again, Wizard Gandalf. If you're still listening, I hope you are. But if you're not, thank you for your years of service, and may you rest in peace.
He's not dead. He's just not listening.
He might be sleeping. I don't know. It's pretty late.
Yeah, it's true. I do hope that when most people sleep, that they rest in peace.
Yes.
I certainly don't rest in peace anymore. I have a newborn. Not newborn, but baby. There's no resting in peace for the wicked.
Well, for the parents, saying little column A, so little column B. Let's talk about the length of their carapace, the width of their carapace, if you place. They're 116 millimeters or 4.6 inches. So how many crabs go into the length of the longest distance road in the Indian Ocean? Here's a hint. Erden Uruk from Turkey, fun name, cool name, achieved the record between July 13th and April 29th, 2011. Also known as AP Style 2011.
July 13th and April 29th?
Yep.
So, wait.
I'm pretty sure that means July 13th, 2010.
Yeah, so it took almost a year.
Yeah.
To row this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That seems crazy, so I'm going to confirm that.
It seems like it should be the other way around, April 29th to July 13th.
I copied and pasted it.
Like 2.5 months.
Oh, wow. I'm having trouble finding it because Erden Uruk has several records related to rowing in the Indian Ocean.
All right. I'm going to go with 600 miles. My answer is 8.2 million.
So, final answer.
8.2 million.
Correct answer is 89.8 million.
Oh, so he went like 6,300 miles.
6,500 miles. Or
Wow.
10,495 kilometers. It's quite a journey. Appropriate for several months of travel by rowing.
That is like him rowing about 30 miles every day.
His back must be just a bag of ropes. Tightly wound.
Just gravel. So many little muscles, well-defined muscles in there.
An absolute, like, panther's back he has. But yeah, okay. Not
That's impressive.
Not if we based on our. Oh, okay. What? Let's decide on a percentage right now.
No, wait. That was like obscenely off.
That was obscenely off, but maybe you'll get close really in the next one.
Okay. I think within 15%, like 85%.
But what if you overshoot it?
Okay, I guess 15% off.
Okay.
We'll call it.
So, they are 17 ounces. We're talking weight now. How many crabs go into the largest barracuda on record? Here's a hint. The barracuda was caught off, guess where?
Christmas Island.
Christmas Island in
Yes.
2002.
2002.
I never say it right when I want to. It technically should be 2002 because it was 1902. It wasn't
2002.
1000. It wasn't 1902.
Are we gonna go? It's 2005.
Yeah, it should be 2005. But AP Style has said, yeah, we can say 2002, but once we get to 2010, we're saying 2010.
I just say 02.
There, you
Back in
can say
02.
that. Yeah, back in 02.
Back in 02, I was 10 years old. I'll say 20. That seems really light. 30, final answer. Done. We're done.
30 crabs, final answer.
Not even doing math for it.
The correct answer is 80 crabs.
Oh, they're big.
So what's the
Big
percentage
boy.
of that?
Oh, it's a failure. We don't even have to do the math. This is like, this is like
This is like nursing school. You have to get a B.
No, this is like when you play. I don't know if you've ever played the game Goat Lords.
I think I might have.
It's like a card game where at the end you have to add things up, but like it's very clear if you're like, if you have hardly done anything in the game, you've definitely not won, and you don't have to do the math. But if you're like in the running, like, hey, I might have won, I might have beat this person, you have to sit there and count everything. So I was so off. We don't have to do the math. It's a little consolation prize for losing. I love this segment. Love it.
Let's move on to Fast Facts.
When you ask me how many sunfish go into the withers of a Shetland pony, and the answer is 1, and I get it right, then yes, that feels good.
Let's talk Fast Facts. Christmas Island crabs are land crabs, which means they are comfortable skittering around on land. But this is weird, and I guess I would have guessed this, but I've never thought about it. They have gills. Land crabs have gills, and they breathe with gills on land.
They are crustaceans,
Yeah.
just like the woodlouse has gills.
I guess if you really pressed me on it before I read this, I wouldn't have thought they had lungs. I would have thought, they breathe with gills or something. Maybe osmosis. But there's no way you can oxygenate like a giant land crab's crab blood with osmosis. So it's got to be gills.
Well, like bugs have a unique respiratory
But they're
system.
little. They're so small. Their cells are close to the air.
So small. Crabs are not that small.
Nah. They are also vulnerable to drying out and spend time in burrows to shade themselves from the heat of the sun. Still, they enjoy the cool of the day, and they are almost completely inactive at night. So they go into lockdown during the dry season and cover the entrances of their burrows to seal in that moisture until the wet season returns, which can take around 3 months. And crabs are usually solitary and they will fiercely defend their burrows from intruders, but there are certain times of the season which they like to get together and for a cigar and just a chat about old times.
When they start a hamburger franchise at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. Red crabs are omnivorous and they're scavengers. And they'll eat mostly leaf litter, fruit, flowers, seeds, seedlings, dead animals, trash, and other red crabs, horrifyingly enough.
They will.
They also enjoy eating LDT alum, the giant African land snail, which is an invasive animal on the island. They're vulnerable to predation during their larval stage, and may be eaten by manta rays and sharks that come to the island for crab season, like bears to a stream. They're also killed by another invasive species, the yellow crazy ant, which is a fun...
Is that what it's called?
Yes, yellow crazy ant. And they have killed millions of crabs in the past few years.
In the worst way possible. By climbing on them and spraying acid into their eyes and mouths.
That is crazy.
That is a crazy ant.
Yeah, it is.
And not the kind of crazy ant that moves in with you for a little while.
Or comes to Thanksgiving and talks about crazy stuff.
Talks about celebrating Valentine's Day on Thanksgiving Island. I want to go to Thanksgiving Island so bad. That sounds delicious. Oh, man. Stuffing and gravy and mashed... Oh, I'm hungry. Anyway. Yeah, so that's pretty terrible. That's a bad way to die.
There is a Thanksgiving Island, but that's all I got. It's in Oregon.
That makes sense. That it would be, in the United States. All right. Time for the major fact. I actually learned about this crab from the side of a U-Haul, which is great. It's a great... like every time I see U-Haul, I'm like, oh, cool. That's an animal I should look up. So they just have those facts about animals. So
more trucking companies should have fun facts for me on the sides of their trucks. I'm tired of looking at brands and advertising.
I'm tired of looking at kids drawing of two men in a truck or whatever. My truck moving in sons or whatever. I don't want to see it. I want to see crab facts or nothing. All right. So Christmas Island is the stage for one of the largest migrations in the animal kingdom.
Show me the crab facts.
That's how you know that your moving company is legit when you get the crab facts. We should have mentioned that in last week's episode, the car fox. But yeah, so it's one of the largest animal migrations in the world, not in distance, but in numbers. So at the beginning of every rainy season, after the crab has been sequestered in its moisture hole, usually around November, these crabs will leave their homes from the rainforest interior of the island, and then they will make their way to the seashore to mate and lay their eggs. And this behavior is dictated by the moon. They always spawn at night during a receding high tide in the last quarter of the moon. Whenever that happens, whenever that coincides with the rainy season. Because they breathe through gills, they constantly need to stay moist, just like we used to talk about with the woodlouse. It has gills, but it lives its entire life on land, so it needs to constantly have water on it. So this is why they wait for the rainy season, because it's easy to stay moist. Males will show up first to the beaches, but the females will quickly overwhelm them in numbers. I'm just thinking of Why Must I Be a Crustacean in Love episode in Futurama, where Zoidberg and the males go to the beach first and then the females show up. Craw. All told, an estimated 50 to 100 million crabs make this 5-mile journey to the coast. And it takes an individual crab about 3 weeks to make this trip. 50 to 100 million. I mean, no one's actually counted them, but that's the estimation, because it's like, I think they have like 100 crabs per square meter, and then they just measure how many meters and stuff like that. But again, it's an estimation. But that is just a gobsmacking amount of number of animals. So once they get to the beach, after digging burrows, the crabs will mate, and then the males will leave and return to their inland homes. The females will stay behind for a time with the fertilized eggs, and each female holds up to 100,000 eggs. So, this is a lot. I mean, we're talking something like 3 trillion eggs being laid here. Nuts. And so they will go and they'll release their eggs into the ocean during high tide, which is risky because they are land crabs. And despite having gills, so they constantly need to have water in order to breathe, they will drown in the water. So if they're swept off, they're donezo. So they release their eggs in kind of like chest high water. They don't have chests, but they and then the females make their trip back to their inland home. So the eggs are like a brown black color. So it looks like they have a bunch of dirt. It looks like the females are clutching like a clump of dirt, but really it's 100,000 eggs. And so the water just turns black. It just like it gets all murky, and it's all these eggs. And then those are eventually swept out to sea, where they hatch, and they grow into these little shrimp-like things called megalopes, and most of them are usually eaten by, like you said, manta rays. These large animals that just eat huge swaths of them. Because again, each spawning season, there's something like 3 trillion of them. So, animals are going to come and eat some of them. But the ones that survive, they come back close to shore, and they develop into baby crabs. These are very, very tiny, cute little baby crabs. And then they crawl onto shore away from the major predators that are in the ocean. And while most of them are normally eaten during this process, once every decade or so, a massive number of them will survive. And suddenly you have a lot of baby crabs. And if you look up pictures of this, it's crazy. It's gross. I would not want to be anywhere near this, but it's just like you just see rocks and outcroppings and just large, huge patches of land, and it's red. It's red and teeming with what looks like fire ants, because they're so small. They're bright red. It looks like just awful, but they're harmless. So they're just going to get in every nook and cranny. Be prepared for that. So yeah, if even like a portion of those 3 trillion survive, then you're going to have a lot. It's obviously doesn't ever get that high. But it is on these rare events, it is in the hundreds of millions of crabs. And this is what keeps the population in the 50 to 100 million range on the island. Is this occasional massive influx of new crabs. The journey for the adults to and from the interior of the island, and the journey of the kiddos from the shore when they grow legs and into their eventual homes on the island is dangerous. There are cars and predators and crazy yellow ants that want to spit acid in your eyes and eat your insides. And there's not too much we can do about the ants. I mean, that humans can do about the ants. But to take care of the car problem or the road problem, you can find a bunch of crab bridges built around the island. They're these these walkways that go over the road, and they have all these holes in them so the crabs have something to hang on to. And you can just, people come from all over the world. It's a huge tourist attraction to come and just watch these crabs make their journey. And I imagine you could stand there for a week and just see like a non-stop stream of crabs going, or like just covering the roads, covering the walkways, all heading in the same direction. It's got to be pretty interesting, eerie, and I want to have very little to do with it. It's not my cup of tea. Not that I'm like crustaceophobic or something like that. But just the idea of millions of spindly-legged things crawling near and probably on me is not my bag, not my cup of tea. But some people really enjoy that prospect. So, and they're harmless, really. They do have pincers, but it seems like people handle them without issue. Can you imagine if they were aggressive? I mean, they are territorial, but like they could just kill you. There's just like a huge patch of them going by could just decide to murder a person if they were aggressive.
If they can break the skin.
I mean, they're 8 inches, or they're 5 inches wide, and they weigh almost a pound.
Do they reach that length? But during this time,
these are the adults that are going to spawn.
Well, Crab Bridges is my favorite actor, so this is interesting.
I do not know that, man.
I'm not LaBeouf. Or you are not LaBeouf.
I find Crab Bridges to be a little bit easier to understand than his brother Jeff.
Yeah.
It's mostly just clicks and clacks, but still. But yeah, so I recommend that as soon as you are not driving, look up the Christmas Island crab migration, and you're going to see some crazy pictures of lots and lots of crabs. Oh, sorry. This major fact is called Home for the Holidays. I forgot to mention that, because there's no place like home for the holidays.
There's just a picture of a woman daintily sitting on a sidewalk, side saddle, style, and just thousands of crabs around her.
This just does not look like a fun time. You have people holding them, and it really, like, especially the little crabs, it just looks like you're holding thousands of fire ants in your hand.
I'd go.
I would not be able to, like, separate my mind from that. And also the feeling of, thousands of things crawling all over you. When this
podcast makes us enough money to travel. And justify on location episodes, we can go see the crabs.
All right, that's our Patreon goal.
Yeah, our stretch goal.
Well, send us to Christmas Island during the
Christmas Island 2023.
The red crab migration. See Joey's delight and my horror.
It really looks like a red moss covering rocks when they're babies. And they're omnivorous. Like, they'll eat anything. They'll eat you. If you died there, they'll just eat you. That's true.
They're like pigs.
You can get cremated, you can get buried, or you can be tossed to the crabs.
This is instead of a sky burial, this is a beach burial. Presumably Amelia Earhart, but probably Amelia Earhart, but not red crabs.
Oh, there's a very adorable macro photo of one on the fingertip, and it's got these big, dopey eyeballs.
Yeah, this is one of those things where, like, this is more horrifying than the sum of its parts. Okay, yeah, I'm kind of done looking at pictures of it. So, Individually, the crabs look fun, like they'd be great at a party. But when you get 50 million of them in a room, things tend to get a little raucous.
I think this is very interesting. It looks like scarlet rot.
Eventually, we'll stop talking about Elden Ring. I promise.
But it is not this day.
It is this day we fight. Yeah, that's all I got. You got anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, that was the Christmas Island red crab, the Kirk. So for you out there in Podcastia, follow the moon and the tides. Spend some time at the beach. And have more kids, because I guess it increases the odds that at least 1,000 or so of them will survive, like the Christmas Island crab here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
There's some idyllic pictures of it just like covering rocks like moss. But I gotta imagine it's just a seagull apocalypse there as well.
That is, idyllic is not the term I would use.
Well, I mean, for the photo of capturing this, but I feel like if you're there, you're not just seeing like this very interesting landscape covered in these red crabs. I feel like you're getting like it's just a swarm of seagulls and stuff.
You think you'd see a bunch of pictures of birds being around, but maybe there's just too many. There's just too many crabs.